Today we're going to chapter 7 of the book of Revelation and sort of halfway read some of it, not read some of it, but I want to really just kind of jump right in and read parts of it as we go. But as we think about what we've seen so far, we are still in that transition. Last week we looked at the opening of some of the seals that were presented to the Lamb. And then once he got to the sixth seal, he stopped for a moment to have this chapter included. So this, the events that we see here in chapter 7 are kind of a bridge, if you will, to go between the sixth seal and the seventh seal. And there's maybe, and we can see why that he has done this. And there's been some question about, what the chronology of this section in Scripture. We've seen before that sometimes they would say things. We saw that in Daniel, where even though it looked like the events were happening at that point, it really was taking a collective look at things further on. And it really boils down to something like that in chapter 7, where we have these two groups that the Lord is proclaiming through and to John for and to us. And we have to kind of get an understanding of what's going on. So I think if we really look at this, we're going to see that there is this question, and we'll try to address it. And in verse 1 of this section, it talks about these four angels at the four corners of this. Well, this is a globe. There are no corners, but we do that. We use that ourselves as an illustration. The four corners meaning the whole spread apart world. I think maybe they're talking about maybe the directions, north, south, east, and west. I don't know. But they were quite a ways out, and maybe by being at the four corners, and what they're doing is are holding these winds back, are saying that the whole world is under their control, that they're making sure these winds don't blow. And of course, we have to ask ourselves, are they really genuinely blowing winds, or is this a figure? Is he saying that these winds are kind of saying that the events, the traumas, the disasters that are coming, are these angels restraining them? And I think later on we'll see that's possibly, and maybe probably, because later on we're going to see them again. And so they're holding back these winds so that it doesn't touch the land, the sea, and of all things, the trees. And I thought, why would he include trees? I mean, I racked my brain trying to say, well, how would you include trees with the seas and the land? Because the trees are on the land. What? And I've got to admit, I've not found an answer to that. I just don't know. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about winds, the most visible recognition is the leaves and the trees are moving. But I was raised on the plains, and the wind is because I look at the wheat. So, but maybe that's what these individuals are doing, and it's showing. I don't know. Like I said, I have not come to an understanding of why trees were included.
Maybe it's just a representation of the living.
It could be. It could be. Trees, if you think about it, the oldest living thing continuously on Earth are trees.
That was my mom.
And I think they found out in southwest United States the oldest living tree. They thought it was a bristlecone pine, but there's this like a creosote bush, and as the center dies, it continues to grow and then keep growing. It never comes back, and it makes a ring. And from the satellite, they found one that was so far across that the only way it could have done it is this one particular bush was 10,000 years old.
I thought the sequoias were the oldest.
Oh no!
No?
There's a bristlecone pine that's about over 1,000.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, that's the oldest. But this guy said, "Wow, that's pretty old." So maybe that's what you're saying.
My initial thinking is trees, and basically by saying the four angels holding back the winds, is trees produce oxygen.
That's
and
true.
If you have to hold back the winds, there's probably a pestilence or a disease, nuclear radiation that could blow and kill people. That's physically, that's where my mind is at now. My opinion's worth about what you just paid for.
That